On NFL Live, injured Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott asked about Mike McCarthy's future in Dallas. Really interesting. Take a listen.
I believe in him wholeheartedly. I think he definitely deserves a chance, another contract, and a chance to coach this team amongst and kind of, I guess you can say, more influence on his terms. Maybe be a good way to say it. But I wholeheartedly believe in him.
Back to Adam Schefter now, and Shefty, certainly sounds like Dak is in McCarthy's corner and under the right circumstances, but we know he's in the final year of his contract. So what can you tell us about his future in Dallas?
Well, Dak definitely is in Mike McCarthy's corner, and Dak is a big supporter and proponent of Mike McCarthy. Interesting that he said there that if he were to come back, that there would be more influence on his terms. Clearly, that is identifying the fact that he doesn't believe that Mike McCarthy had all the power that he needed to succeed as a head coach. And Mike McCarthy's won a Super Bowl as a head coach, which is one of the reasons that the Jones family was attracted to him in the first place. Clearly, Dak would like Mike McCarthy back in Dallas, but his contract's up after this year. So there's a major question as to whether or not he'll be back. I think a lot of people around the league believe he'll wind up moving on, but let's see how the Cowboys season finishes out and how that plays into whatever Dallas and Mike McCarthy decide to do after this season.
Yeah, and you wonder if any coach is going to have more autonomy under the Jones regime than they have in the past. That's certainly the big question. The playoffs have not been kind to McCarthy and Dallas, but in the previous three regular seasons, we're a glass half full kind of show, right? For 2021 to 23, second best record in the NFL during that time, 3 straight 12-win seasons. Okay, only 5 this year. And the Cowboys, here is the rub. They are 1-3 in the playoffs under McCarthy. Certainly not all his fault, but they haven't seemed prepared. They've had a lot of penalties, some late game situations where they didn't seem to know what was going on. What do you think of Dak speaking out for McCarthy?
I thought it was interesting for the highest paid player in NFL history to have to send messages through media, right? Because typically, we know how this works. That player can go right to the front office, can go right to ownership, can go wherever and voice his opinion and they be heard. So I felt like it was something for him to feel like he needed to be very specific with his words on why he wanted McCarthy back and for him to have more influence. I also feel like it could be writing on the wall. When you come into the season this year, when you look at just 2024 in a vacuum, there were deficiencies on this roster that we knew about in the offseason that were not addressed.
Running back,
right. Being able to stop the run, the interior defensive line, maybe depth at wide receiver, right? And that is not in the wheelhouse of McCarthy. That is a front office issue. Had you had this conversation after last season, after a 12-win season, and then losing the way that they did in the playoffs, it made more sense. So I think what Dak is saying is, we'll give him a fair chance. Right? Now, again, I don't know if that happens, J-Mac, but it's
so
a very clear message
agency
from
over
your franchise
personnel
quarterback.
and things like that.
Very clear message. I can't see it happening just because you finished the way they finished last year. You go into the playoffs and you get ran out of your own stadium by the Packers. You come back in the offseason, you don't give Mike McCarthy, your head coach, an extension. So you let him play out a one-year deal. And the Cowboys aren't playing well this year. So you mix those two things together. I love the fact that you can say Dak is supporting his head coach, but everything that surrounds this team tells you that it's time to make a change. So to your point, they didn't assemble the team the right way from a front office standpoint. Jerry's not moving on from Jerry, so you're not getting the wins you need on the football field. It has to be somebody's fault. You can't just run it back next year, bring everybody back and say, all right, we're going to be good. But to your point, Dak stepping up and saying those type of things, more influence.
It's significant.
Things like that is huge.
That's a message to Jerry Jones, right? Very clearly.
Absolutely. Chicago just fired Matt Eberflus. We didn't see any players in the weeks leading up to that coming out and saying and supporting Matt Eberflus. For players, for Dak, he easily can say, hey, that's above my pay grade. We love Mike McCarthy around here, but those are going to be decisions that he said, no, we need him back and he needs more influence.
Yeah, very, very pointed remarks. But again, you wonder if anybody who comes in is going to have the kind of influence that Dak is envisioning there. Ahead of tomorrow's showdown between the Packers and the Lions, several injuries to keep track of, Adam. Take us through it.
Well, Hannah, we're waiting for the official update from the Green Bay Packers, in which we think they'll have Romeo Doubs available in that game, but the Lions already have ruled out a number of players in this particular contest. You see their defensive line having lost some players. We already know that they've already lost some linebackers for this particular game. No Alex Anzalone. Malcolm Rodriguez already out for the game. Taylor Decker's not going to play in this game. So the Lions clearly are shorthanded headed into this contest. Not ideal for their matchup here against the Packers, but that's where they're at heading into Thursday night.
All right, Shefty, we'll check back with you in just a sec. J-Mac, how does this impact the Lions?
Well, it's big. Taylor Decker, he missed the game before. Dan Skipper played every play, I think, except a single snap in that game. So I think they feel good with Dan Skipper in there at that left tackle. It's not the same as Decker being there. I look defensively. When you're missing now guys on the defensive line and you're trying to go against a guy like Josh Jacobs, who in that first matchup ran the ball really well, they just didn't capitalize in the red zone. Next thing you know, you're down 24-3 and you're forced to pass the ball for those Packers. So missing those guys, how do you make up for it, especially at that linebacker spot? He said it, no Anzalone and how Rodriguez is gone, and you're missing defensive linemen. The safeties, the secondary are going to really have to play their butts off.
Yeah, I mean, listen, are the Packers going to be able to take advantage of that? If there's no Dobbs, tell me what you're seeing from that receiving core in Green Bay.
I've talked about this the last couple of days. Like, the receiving core and the way they play is my favorite to watch on film. And there's a couple of plays that I'm blocking downfield for other people. The way that they play without the ball in their hands, no ego, the detail to what they do, they're effort driven and they're competitive. That's why they've been so special over the last few
Both
weeks.
of a Rutgers guy, so it makes sense.
So it makes
that he's showing up on film.
They build it that way.
The love of the game.
It also says
Jordan
that speed
Love,
might
no
not
pun.
be what we thought it was.
Howdy, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Today, your number one source for all things America's team. If you're a diehard football fan and love our Dallas Cowboys, you're in the right place. So don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest Cowboys news. Let's get started. Movie camera, hey, Cowboys fans. Today, we're bringing you some news that could completely change the direction of our Dallas Cowboys next season. We're talking about a big name who might lead the team's rebuild. Stick around, because you won't want to miss the details of this potential NFL game changer. 3 o'clock before diving into the main topic, let's take a moment to reflect on the current state of our team. This season has been full of challenges, and while our playoff chances are slim, it's clear that changes are needed to get us back to a competitive level. It's in this context that rumors about the future of our coaching staff have started to heat up. Fire, and here's what could happen. Kyle Shanahan, the current head coach of the 49ers, is being rumored as a target for the Cowboys next season. According to league sources, the 49ers are going through a transition, with key players battling injuries and the team falling short of expectations. Recently, rumors surfaced that Shanahan might be traded to another team. Although 49ers GM John Lynch has denied these speculations, the idea of a trade remains in the air. Speech balloon, why would Kyle Shanahan be the perfect fit for the Cowboys? Shanahan is known for his brilliant offensive mind and ability to turn offenses into powerhouses, something we desperately need. Imagine Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and our receiving core thriving under Shanahan's leadership. Plus, his experience in leading teams to the Super Bowl makes him a heavyweight contender to spearhead a new era in Dallas. Magnifying glass tilted left, but how could this actually happen? It's rumored that the Cowboys might offer significant draft pick compensation to acquire Shanahan should the 49ers decide to go in a different direction. With our owner, Jerry Jones, always willing to make bold moves to win, this trade could be the game-changing decision that defines the franchise's future. Speech balloon now. We want to hear from you. Do you think Kyle Shanahan is the right coach to turn the Cowboys into Super Bowl contenders again? Or should we look elsewhere for the team's rebuild? Megaphone, drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's keep the conversation going and stay hopeful for a bright future for our beloved blue and silver. American football, go Cowboys! We'll keep believing and looking forward to big changes next season. See you next time.